When you are in my role, it's like when you have two sons and somebody says like, oh, which one is your preferred son? Yeah, but they are my two sons.
We're playing offense. We're not playing defense. The best way to win the Constructors is to finish first and second in the championship. And the best way to win the Drivers' Championship is to have two drivers going for the Drivers' Championship.
From day one, we are racers. We are gonna face it as racers. We are gonna accept the discomfort that this causes.
And in the event 2007 happens again, I'd rather have that outcome than all the other outcomes by playing favorites. We won't do it. We're racers, we're going racing.
Welcome everybody to Beyond the Grid. We are doing something a little bit different this week because we have two people with us. We have the bosses of McLaren. We have CEO Zak Brown and team principal Andrea Stella. Guys, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to MTC.
Yeah, I was going to say, welcome to our home.
Well, it's lovely to be here at such a special time. I mean, you've won the Constructors Championship this year. We're speaking just after Lando's win at the Mexican Grand Prix. All is rosy in the McLaren garden right now.
It is, but you got to keep water in the garden.
Well, Rossi, like Formula One, we just had a debrief and we said how tough this business is. So that's my perspective to think. It's tough, but very enjoyable and very privileged to be in condition to do it with, at McLaren, with the team we have, with the drivers we have. But we know that it's tough and it's also quite long. 24 races, like we have already gone to 20 races and there's still 4 to go, which will be quite interesting.
I'm the rose, he's the thorn on the rose.
And I'm the... It's been an amazing season, as you say. Again, I wanted to ask, how is 2025 better than 2024 for you guys?
Ooh, you want to start?
I go? Yeah, I can. First of all, the car is much better than the 2024. But the car is not better because the car changes itself. The car changes, evolves, is much more innovative because of the team. The team elevated the game, I would say, first of all, from an engineering point of view. I've said that already, the bravery from a technical perspective that went into the 2025 car was a remarkable step forward. In Mexico, we have seen the benefit in the innovation we introduced in the cooling system. There's been some decisions to innovate the front suspension, the rear suspension. Some of them really challenged our knowledge. And I say sometimes internally that now I can say that over the winter I wasn't necessarily completely calm, that we had just not gone too far in terms of the innovation. I never told Zak that was the case. I always told Zak, don't worry, it's all under control. So the car, which is a reflection of the team, I think the team, each and every one, have embraced to make a little step forward in terms of being better than the year before, everyone in their own area, which is part of our fundamental ethos. And then I think the drivers are better. Oscar has grown enormously from where he was last year, and Lando has developed as well. And I think we have benefited this year of this overall general growth in being able to achieve the championship with 6 races to go.
Right. Incremental gains is the impression I'm getting from you. Were you surprised by your advantage, particularly in the opening half of this season?
We were surprised because over the winter, while we innovated so much and we were brave and ambitious, we actually thought that we had achieved 50% of what we wanted to achieve in terms of lap time step. In fairness, I have to say that while it looks like McLaren was dominant, this was the case only in a few races. And I think this was the case where it was hot, somehow similar to Mexico. Like we have hot conditions, low grip, high thermal degradation of the tires in the race. This creates a set of conditions in which I think our car excels. But in many other situations, we were not the fastest. We got beaten. Even at the start of the season, Verstappen won Japan, he won Imola, he was pole position in Saudi, and he would have won the race if it wasn't for Oscar mastering corner one. So I think where we have been the best, as a team at least, as a constructor and as drivers, was in our consistency. We have always been there. We have been there in pretty much all conditions, while excelling in some specific conditions.
Zak, how nervous were you coming into this year?
I'm always nervous. I'm nervous before every race. I think that's why we make such a good team. Picking up on what Andrea said, I think we're just a better team this year. Better drivers, better teammates, better strategy, better race car. We're just a better team. It's just as difficult being the hunter as it is the hunted, but it is different, comes with different pressures. I don't think one's easier or more difficult than another, but the pressure when you've won inevitably goes up because you're at the top of the mountain and everybody's trying to knock you off the top of the mountain. And that comes with pressure, which means you can't get complacent. We see how quickly this sport moves. As Andrea said, we were dominant, if you like, at the start of the year because of how well we were executing everything. But our car was definitely dominant in some races, but we got beat fair and square, poles, things of that nature. So it all had to come together. But, coming back to the first question, the nervousness, I want to win. We all want to win. And there's two types of people in this world that I describe. It's those people that are motivated by the thrill of victory. And then those people that are motivated by the fear of defeat. Both are ways to kind of get out of bed every day and push. I'm more motivated by the fear of defeat, which I think is kind of the unhealthier version. It comes with more stress, comes with more worrying, comes with more nervousness, whatever you want to call it. But I use that to give me inner strength to wake up every day. I think Andrea, sitting alongside him on pit walls, more motivated by the positivity and the thrill of victory, and the combination both get you to the front, right? It's just what you use to drive yourself and drive the team. And we're enjoying being on top. It's a privilege being on top. We know it won't last forever, but if we keep doing what we're doing, maybe we can push out that day as far as possible. And then when we do have a little bit of a dip, like we've had the last few races, it's a much more resilient team. We're a better team now. So we recover quicker. We dust ourselves off. We learn from our mistakes and we go again. And so to have such a dominant performance in Mexico was just what the doctor ordered.
So, Andrea, is it the lure of success for you, as Zak says?
I think between the two, like the fear or like, the looking forward to the opportunity, I tend to look more to the opportunity, to the idea that it's going to really be very good when we win. I have this optimistic approach to things. At the same time, I know that once you have given your best, you're giving your best. That was the best of yourself. If somebody is better than you, hats off, and we work even harder to beat him next time. So that's more my philosophy.
Okay, so different motivations for the two of you, but I believe you have revolutionized the way you run a Formula One team. Zak, you're the CEO, you're the team principal, Andrea. Why does the two-pronged approach work so well? Why is it necessary?
I think the size of these racing teams now, the amount of time, effort, commitment that is required to do what Andrea and I do, you cannot do as one person. I wasn't in Mexico and I joined every team debrief, which Andrea joins. Normally I don't because I can't, because I've got sponsor commitments, media commitments, shareholder commitments. And if I wasn't there doing that, someone would need to do it. That would be Andrea. So you can't be in two places at one time in a sport that is so competitive, so relentless. You can't leave anything on the table. You need to be 100% committed to everything you're doing. And when you look at our collective role profiles, if you'd like, where back in the not long ago when Formula One teams were 200, 300, 400, 500 people, usually the CEO, the team principal, is also the owner of the team. And there's just too many responsibilities now, and the competition is too good to be in a position where if we're kind of 90%, when the whole field's covered by 2%, you got to give 100% in everything you do. Aside from that, I don't have his skills. I don't have Andrea's engineering background, understanding of the sport technically. So if we reversed roles, even though we would all be totally dedicated to what we're doing, I'm pretty sure the car wouldn't be as fast if I was touching it. Well, there's a racing driver.
There is a racing driver. So as a headline, Zak, you look after the board, the commercial side?
I run the business and support Andrea in every way I can and he asks. My view in McLaren is I work for the team, they don't work for me. We have 1,400 people in total, not all of those on Formula One. Obviously, we've got IndyCar team and a WEC team, but the strong majority of it, 1,000 if you'd like, is Formula One. What do I need to give them? People, motivation, resources, drivers, whatever that, brand, sponsors, to allow them to operate at their best. So my mindset is I work for the race team. The race team doesn't work for me. When I'm at a race weekend, what can I do to help Andrea operate at his maximum capacity? That's my mindset here at the factory and at the racetrack.
Andrea, as TP,
Yeah.
tell us about your role.
Well, while listening to Zak, I think obviously we can give a version in which there's a distribution of tasks or responsibilities of remit. But while you were speaking, Zak, I actually was thinking that it's almost like the team is run by one person, but in two people. Like it's just, there's nothing I do that I don't think like, would Zak approve it? What would Zak think? Like we are completely connected. We chat on the phone continuously. And I think that's where you create the real power. It's not because we divide, this is my territory, this is Zak's territory. It's in reality sort of an enhancement of your abilities because you come with two heads, with two ways of thinking, with two, even an emotional pattern that is different. But ultimately we lead the same thing together. And there's many things that we approach it together. I come from an angle, and then we kind of coordinate, and Zak will come from a different angle. Okay, like sometimes it's a same organizational change, or it's the same support to a certain person. We just come from different directions. So more than seeing the separation, I actually see the unity. But we come with our, just being two different individuals, different background, but effectively leading the same thing together. This would not be possible if there wasn't the underlying condition of a great relationship, great respect, and esteem, which I think is mutual, and this is what makes it successful. I think this is slightly beyond a business model.
Okay, where did the idea come from to run McLaren like this?
I think I got to give a lot of credit to Sheikh Mohammed, who was our chairman at the time, now vice chairman, and Monsieur Oje. They brought me in. Andrea was already here, and it was, that was not a good time for McLaren. There were so many different changes, and I'd had a good experience with them. I'd done a lot of business with McLaren, so I think it kind of evolved. But you got to say, Sheikh Mohammed and Monsieur were the ones responsible kind of for putting the pieces in place, and then we all kind of worked together to put the puzzle together. But they put all the pieces on the table.
Gilles de Ferran said to me once that you guys have a magic recipe. What is it?
Oh, he was part of it.
Yes.
He was part of it. He is part of it. You'll notice on Andrea's race kit, Gilles de Ferran badge. You'll see on all my mobile devices, little Gilles stage. Gilles is part of this racing team. I think he was part of the magic. And I think his greatest strength, we had a bunch, he was a people person, a great communicator, and a proper racer who had a great technical understanding. When you put that all together, I think if you kind of look at how Andrea and I tackle leading the team, I'd like to think it's through communication. We're racers, we know technology. And he was a good guy. I think we've got a good vibe in here that while we're extremely serious and hard, but fun is a key ingredient to keeping people relaxed in a high pressure environment. So Gilles kind of embodied all of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. Like keep everybody relaxed in a pressurized competitive environment is part of the initial idea. It was the initial idea because we know that this is where performance can flourish. This is where talent can be unleashed. And Gilles was a fundamental enabler of the belief that this is possible. And he brought also some competence, some technical competence, even financial competence. He was a man of incredible wealth of expertise. And he was in all the initial conversations. And that's why I think he will always be one of the fundamental architects, because as long as we develop along this main direction, he was effectively one of the initial architects. And we have kept developing along the same initial direction. So we take GDF with us.
GDF. It seems like a marriage between you two. Do you disagree a lot? What do you argue about?
I don't think we've ever argued.
Really?
Yep, I can't think of one.
No.
There's no point in arguing. Disagreeing, but that's almost a strong word. I would say we debate. And we debate because we, as Andrea said, we come at things from different angles, experiences. So we don't disagree, we debate, we challenge, but we enjoy it because I think we both value what each other has to say, and two heads is better than one.
This episode is sponsored by Vanta. Anyone in the world of business will know that the bigger your business gets, the messier security and compliance can become. And when customers are trusting you with their data, we'll deal with it later doesn't really cut it. That's where Vanta can help. Vanta helps businesses get compliant fast and stay that way by automating all the tricky, time-consuming bits and keeping everything up to date with continuous monitoring. It works quietly in the background so you can focus on running your company while it handles compliance for frameworks like SOC 2, ISO 27001 to HIPAA and more. I like how it brings everything into one place, your risk assessments, your controls, even your audit process, so you're not scrabbling when questions come up. And whether you're a growing startup like Cursor or a big player like Snowflake, Vanta scales with you and makes sure trust is something you show, not just say. Get started at vanta.com/grid. That's VANTA.com/grid. This episode is sponsored by Indeed. If I had to build a team from scratch for this podcast or anything else, I'd want people who know the job, understand the pressure, and can deliver from day one. And if I were hiring, I'd want to be sure the right people actually saw the job first. And that's exactly what Indeed Sponsored Jobs is designed to do. Sponsored Jobs boosts your listing, helping it stand out and reach candidates with the skills and experience you're looking for. And it works. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 95% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Now that's a serious edge, especially when the clock's ticking and you need results fast. There's no monthly subscription or long-term contract, and your next hire could be the exact person you've been searching for to help drive your business forward. So spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes, less stress, less time, more results now with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/grid. Just go to Indeed.com/grid right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/grid. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Do it the right way with Indeed. Let's talk about those different angles now. I mean, Zak, you were a racing driver. I remember you in British Formula 3 in the mid-90s. Once a driver, always a driver?
Yeah, I think so. You need to learn how to mature, which I've done, and Andrea's helped me a lot with that. As a driver, you're kind of can be highly emotional, adrenaline, and there's a time and place for that, but then there's definitely not a time and place for that. And I think that helps me get up on the wheel and get excited, but there's times to calm down.
Do you talk to Lando and Oscar about driving stuff? I mean, oversteer, understeer, that kind of thing? Or no?
Only in a fun, humorous way. I'm not going to teach Lando or Oscar anything, but I think my contribution to them is getting them in the right headspace. They're both funny guys, so we kind of joke around, goof around. I know what the pressure's like of when you're putting the helmet on before you start the race. So I try and kind of just poke the balloon a little bit, let some air out through some and so I think people operate at their best, whether they're a racing driver or an engineer, when they're happy and in a good environment. So I think the driving part of what I used to do, because I used to be not happy a lot because I wasn't in a great environment, or I didn't trust this person, or I didn't like my team. My racing career, I was rarely happy. And I think I performed worse when I wasn't happy, or I didn't feel supported. So I think that's the driving part of what I bring to our drivers, is creating an environment of trust, happiness, to let them perform at their best.
Right, so while Zak...
But I have to say, Zak, still, you're definitely still a driver, because when you are at the pit wall and you watch the onboard and there's a big oversteer, Zak is definitely doing this at the pit wall.
Quick hands,
I don't even notice I'm doing it.
I noticed, because I see like, what's happening. Oh yeah, it's the oversteer that we just saw. So it's definitely the driver is still there, he's still driving.
Andrea, did you ever want to race yourself, or has it always been the engineering side that's called you?
I really enjoy driving, but then even when I drive go-karts and they start to challenge me, like a shifter go-kart, I say like, okay, no, that's too much. So I very easily convince myself that that would have not been the right career for me. I think, the race engineering is where I feel more comfortable by nature, and even the interpretation of being team principal, I still think that is an extension of the way I was, working as a race engineer. It's just like a wider group, but you bring almost the same kind of approach, the same values, the same way of generating performance, the same way of taking care of reliability. It's really very similar. I think having been a race engineer is very useful in this job.
9 of the 10 team principals now have an engineering background. Is it for those reasons you've just discussed?
Well, that's an interesting question. Like, somehow is what Zak was saying before about how big Formula One teams are now. And also, I think year after year, the technical element becomes more and more important. The marginal gains are smaller and smaller. So I think it's useful when you have some technical conversations and you can help your team, and actually you understand not only the good points, but you understand the true points. Because one challenge in Formula One is that everyone is very good. So everyone will be able to make a good point. Everyone will have a logical conversation with you. But which one is actually the right conversation? Which option is actually the right or more effective option for performance? If you are in condition to support your team by having the equipment to actually understand where is the most valuable of all the good options that you are presented, then you can serve your team in potentially in a more powerful way. So I think having some engineering background and having been at the front line of performance with, in my case, the holistic view that a race engineering role can give you, probably has been useful. in sustaining this journey that we are on.
So you do get involved in engineering debrief still today?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's still the part that possibly I enjoy the most.
Now, Zak was saying that before he joined McLaren, he'd done a lot of business with the team. Before you joined McLaren back in 2015, you were at Ferrari for 15 years. Is there anything that you've brought from Italy to England that helps you now?
His wife.
Family, for sure. I've been very privileged because I joined Ferrari in 2000 when the team was starting the dominance. That I think it changed Formula One. It changed it added one more level to the standards that you should establish to actually be successful, and be successful in a way that can be perpetuated over time. And I've been able to collaborate with people from whom I have learned a lot. And I think if there's a characteristic that I've always tried to pay attention to in my own personal development is learn from the people that you work with, learn from the people that you interact. It's such a better way, faster way of becoming every day a better version of yourself. And if I think working with Jean Todt, Luca Di Montezemolo, Ross Brawn, Rory Byrne, Stefano Domenicali, Michael Schumacher, there's so much that you can absorb to become a better version of yourself. So that's what I'm carrying over my career, and definitely has been very beneficial coming to McLaren and being involved in a process of transformation. And in processes of transformation, or even in the process of leading from a team principal point of view, it's very important that you have simple, clear ideas about what is important. And I think understanding what is important in a simple way, in a clear way, in a way that you can actually communicate to everyone else, because you go nowhere alone. You need to carry 1,000 people with you. I think that's coming from this school that I've been privileged to be part of when I was at Ferrari.
Andrea, you speak with such confidence, such knowledge. I'm fascinated about how and why and when you accepted the role of team principal, because Zak tried to persuade you, tell me if I'm wrong, Zak.
No, you're right.
Tried to persuade you to take the job in 2018. You didn't. Why?
Well, in 2018, I think my focus, based on the conversation I had at McLaren, should have been diverted to the technical aspect and resolving the performance difficulties that we were having. And in fact, at the time I became performance director. And I think we needed to stay focused and relatively limited in the area of influence, because there was a significant amount of insights that I needed to gain. And when you are a team principal, necessarily you need to navigate at a slightly higher level, less detailed. But at the time we were in such a negative spiral that we needed to go into every level of detail to understand why a talented group of people is not in condition to perform. So I think I felt at the time that was the right role for me. And I'm not a kind of a career-led person. I'm more like what's needed for the business. I know I'm gonna get passionate about what I do anyhow, because I'm already privileged enough to be in this environment, which I enjoy independent of the angle I come from. So that was the right thing to do at the time in 2018.
Zak, did you understand that reasoning at the time?
Not as well as I kind of do now, knowing Andrea as I do. The second time around, it wasn't one phone call either.
Still needed persuading?
You're not going to persuade Andrea. He needs to persuade himself. You're going to lay out the opportunity with enthusiasm, but he's going to come to his own decision. We've got a great way of working, and I don't know if it's the engineering side or, I use the right side of the brain and he uses the left, or the other way around, or the front or back, or however that works. But Andrea is very thoughtful, very considerate, almost kind of needs to see the data to know he can take that corner flat. Where I might be a little bit more, I think I can take that corner flat, but there's a chance I'm going to end up in the fence. And so the second time around, needed to sleep on it. I think it was, weekend, a few days, a week.
7 days.
Yeah. And it was, you can't push. Just lay it out there, your rationale, and then kind of let him come to his own decision.
Right. Can we talk about the turnaround of this race team? In the 10 years, because I think it's relevant to what we're talking about now. Zak, when you joined in 2016, the team had finished, I think, 6th in the Constructors Championship that year. It got worse the following year, didn't it? You finished ninth, second last in the Constructors Championship. How difficult was it to dig yourselves out of that hole at the time?
I hesitate because at the time it felt like it was taking forever, but then look back, it takes time to turn around a big boat, throw the water off, get it out of the harbor, and then be able to pull the throttle back.
Zak, how desperate was it? Was the team's future ever in doubt back then?
Oh, it was as bad as you could get, right? You're 9th in the championship. You have very little sponsorship. Fans aren't happy with you. And what was worse was the environment, the lack of trust and transparency inside the factory was not good. Other than that, everything was great. What was great was our brand, our history, McLaren. And I had no doubt that we had great people here. But when you have 5 different team bosses in 5 years, right? Ron in, Martin in, Ron in, Martin out, Eric in, Yost. Forget about even you can't lead anything when you have a new leader every 12 months. And so I thought there has to be greatness in here. I've hung out with McLaren for a long time. I remember when we just almost took for granted you're going to finish 1st and 2nd. I remember those years. And so first thing I wanted to do was kind of rebuild trust through transparency and kind of hit on all the different areas, right? So from a fan point of view, all our fans wanted us to go back to Papaya. So we went back to Papaya. That's what our fans wanted. That brought some energy, some color to our team, right? We were very dark and exclusive, and we weren't inclusive, and it was kind of a quiet place. You would walk around here and you could hear a pin drop. Then tackle the commercial side, because we needed revenue so we could go get new wind tunnels, drivers, more talent, get budget to be able to spend, and then get the right technical team in place. And if you think about, I'll kind of paint a story of where we got to today. In, 19, where we had our first podium? That was the work of 2018-19, and that was Andrea, that was Gilles de Ferran, that was Gilles who brought back Pat Fry, who Andrea worked with. And we kind of start getting some momentum, right? 20 was a good year. The 21 car was actually effectively our 20 car, which is done in 2019. Let me not forget Pete Padromo in that very select group. But all we did was change power units. Because of COVID, you had to use your tokens. So in 21, we're now won our first race and some good podiums. That was the work of Andrea, Padromo, Gilles, Pat Fry, and of course, everybody else in here. 22, we have the headlines of our driver, challenges with Daniel, who's a great guy and unfortunately just didn't work. But I saw underneath that, I didn't like the direction the team was going and the leadership around what we do today, just incremental gains, kind of never being satisfied, striving for perfection, never getting to perfection because you can always do better, but still chasing it, that type of incremental teamwork mindset. So for me, my aha moment even though all the headlines were kind of Daniel and driver issues, was the French Grand Prix in 22. We brought our big upgrades and they didn't work. And the response wasn't the response I was expecting. Forget about the fact that technically I can't solve that problem, but I could look at the people I'm expecting to solve that problem and go, did you guys not just see what happened on Sunday? And it was just kind of like business as usual on Monday. That was my light bulb moment. And then made those changes at the end of the year. After a week sitting on, I hope Andrea does this, came in and very quickly went to work, identified that we have a problem with our car at the start of 23, which I knew would be the case in the middle of 22, because that's when you're heavy into development. Became very transparent. We told the media and everyone was, oh my God, what are you crazy? It was like, well, you're gonna see it the first race, so we might as well be straight with you. So we're very straight talkers. We stay very disciplined on how we carry ourselves. We're honest with ourselves. We're honest with everyone. And kept saying, don't worry, we'll be good in Austria. And as you know, Andrea, he doesn't make big claims, but he was starting to kind of like, Austria is going to be good. And I'm like, oh, I hope it's going to be good, because up until Austria was pretty miserable. And bolt on the new car to Lando, goes out, has a great result. Then that nervousness is like, what if it's just we're good around there and Lando's good around there, and then Oscar gets it, and then magic happens at Silverstone, and it's been a pretty awesome ride since then. And the story I like to tell, it comes back to the people. It's the same, we call it 1,000 people. We made 3 or 4 changes, a couple structural changes. It was the same 996 people that gave us the car that was 9th quickest on the grid in whatever would have been the first race, Bahrain, that gave us a car that was running at the front by the end of the year. And that's the power of people and leadership and teamwork and alignment.
That's a brilliant resume, Zak. Can I ask you, Andrea, what were you thinking on the Monday after the French Grand Prix in 22?
Yeah, that we had definitely a lot of work to do, that we needed to go, if anything, one level down, the level where we were developing the car before the upgrades made it trackside, and understand methodologically why things do not work like we expect. There's quite a lot of foundational work that we need to do. It's almost like, let's tear down the house, let's start again from the foundation, and even if it looks like we are going backwards, but it's gonna be the right investment for the future. Just create strong foundations. You need to understand what you're doing. If you don't understand what you're doing in this business, you'll find yourself running fast to go nowhere. Or if anything, even backwards. You know, we've seen upgrades taken trackside, they don't work, you get lost, you need to do back-to-back tests to understand. It's not the spiral in which you want to end up. So for me, it was one of those situations in which you need to really slow down, understand the basics of how you're approaching the technical development, and then rebuild from there. And that was my thought.
This episode is sponsored by Shopify. And if you've shopped online lately, chances are you've bought from a business powered by it. You know that purple Shop Pay button at checkout, the one that makes buying so incredibly easy. That's Shopify. And there's a reason so many businesses use it, because Shopify makes it so simple to start and run your business. Did you know that Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from major names like Mattel and Gymshark to small brands just getting started? And what's great is that it gives you all the tools you need from day one. You can build your storefront using their stunning ready-to-go templates, and there's zero coding required. Plus, you can manage everything in one place, from inventory to payments and analytics. And don't skip its built-in email and marketing tools, expertly designed to help you spread the word about your brand with ease. Oh, and that iconic purple Shop Pay button, it's not just popular, it's the best converting checkout on the planet. Your customers already love it. If you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/beyondthegrid. Go to shopify.com/beyondthegrid. Shopify.com/beyondthegrid.
How integral have the drivers been in the turnaround? Or is actually this is not about drivers? This was more fundamental back here at the MTC?
Well, it's got to be both, but at the end of the day, we've got the best driver lineup in Formula One. And when you're building a race team, the first two people you need are the two greatest racing drivers in the world. Otherwise, it's all a waste of time. But drivers weren't, we had Lando. We had Fernando Alonso. We had a challenge with Daniel, but I also don't think we gave him in 2022 a great racing car. Lando adapted to it better, but that wasn't a great racing car. So it was back here at base, if you'd like. It was, as Andrea said, it was the fundamentals. It was the broader team. It was getting everyone to say, give me the ball. I want to contribute. I want to lean in. So I think we needed to fix our racing team. Once you do that, you need the two greatest racing drivers in the world, or it's all a waste of time.
Guys, Patrick Head always used to say, racing drivers are like light bulbs. You take one out, you put another one in.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Not our approach. It's a very respected source. Not the way we are doing things here. We would not be able to approach things the way we do without the support of our drivers. The drivers, they play such an important leadership role because they set the tone, they set the emotional state of the team. They can be so influential. And the drivers, they do come, they walk the floor, they do support the leadership of this team, Zak and my leadership, in a very integral way. And if we weren't united, if we weren't sharing the same vision with Oscar and Lando, we would just be not as effective.
You've given me an idea, though, for a helmet livery takeover. Light bulbs for Oscar and Lando. I think that'd be hilarious.
People think it's a light bulb. Zach's had a light bulb moment. Can we talk about Lando? He's contested all 148 races of his career so far with McLaren at McLaren. How has he evolved as a racing driver in that time?
It's been a fantastic journey together with Lando. I remember very well his first test in Hungary. Very, very talented. We were saying like, okay, 20 bar more here, more pressure. He would go out, he would do it. So clearly great awareness of what he's doing in the car. And his development has been continued. As a driver, he's become a very strong driver in the race, especially in some conditions. I think he's definitely the best driver when it comes to going long stints, used tires, like that's Lando's regime. And in addition to this great drive and the results that Lando has brought to McLaren, he has been a fundamental part, like I said before, of the leadership and the commitment he made to McLaren when we did not have much to offer. And yet he committed to McLaren. He kind of trusted that we would have turned the place around. Is something that set a strong message to everyone, set a strong message to the entire team, a message of belief. And it's a message for which we are definitely grateful. Likewise, we're going to talk about Oscar, I guess, but it's the same sort of message that Oscar offered when he said, I'm committed to McLaren, when in fact we didn't have much to offer again, in 2023. So
but specifically with Lando, he's been here for 7 years. Red Bull pushed really hard to get him back in the day. Has his loyalty to the team created an emotional bias within the people here, more towards him than towards Oscar, who's only in his third year with the team?
I was just about to say that the same kind of commitment to the team, the same sort of all-in to the team, full support to the team, it did come from Oscar as well. So When you are in my role, it's like when you have two sons and somebody says like, oh, which one is your preferred son? Yeah, but they are my two sons. How can you say which one is the preferred one? So sometimes when I hear or read some comments of this kind, I find them really very superficial and just like, I think that sometimes people don't really understand what it means to have two drivers that are with you together in this journey in Formula One. So I just feel very grateful to both, in fairness.
Oscar's improvement last year to this year has been sensational. It's almost as if he did a year's racing in the off-season last winter, isn't it? The rate of his improvement. Can you tell me, either of you, where you think he's made the greatest steps?
I think the main step has been a step of awareness. Awareness in terms of his abilities, awareness in terms of where he needed to improve. There was great work that happened during the winter, and Oscar has this formidable quality that when he understands what he needs to do, he goes and does it. Sometimes when you are not very talented, you may understand what to do, but then your arms and your feet, they just don't do it. When Oscar understands, no reference to anybody present here. But Oscar,
Andrea, what do you mean? What kind of stuff was he doing?
Just how to be fast. You know, how to be fast, how to use your brake, your throttle, how to use the tires, what you should feel on the tires to be fast, how to use the telemetry data. When you see something, for instance, from your teammate, how do you go there now and you do it? So Oscar, the main step he made from one season to the other is pure speed. He's just a faster driver. When you are a faster driver, this creates the capacity for pretty much all the rest. It's not like you can be a better driver if you're not a faster driver. Oscar is simply faster. And if anything, we are still within this development. We saw even in Mexico, very particular conditions. Oscar is year 3 in Formula One. And the very particular conditions of Mexico, he has just faced them just a few times. So he still needs to go through, like, let me elaborate what is going on here. And already made a big step from Saturday to Sunday. Just because he understood what needed to be done, he goes there and he does it. So a great talent in terms of evolving, developing, once he understands what's needed to be done, and biggest step from last year, pure speed.
Let's talk about the Drivers' Championship now. Well, we've discussed the Constructors. We've got 4 races to go. Your sons are separated by just the 1 point. You've let them race all season. Can we just discuss that a little bit first? Did you agree on that philosophy from the get-go?
Well, I would say that
Yes, we're racers.
Yeah, we are racers.
We're
we are
racers.
McLaren Racing. We are in the home of McLaren Racing. We are here to race. I think on this one, the agreement with Zak was like from day one, we are racers. We are going to face it as racers. We are going to accept the discomfort that this causes when you approach racing like we do. Like, guys, we support your aspirations. We know that you want to both be champions. We let you race. There will have to be some rules because you come from the same garage. So like one has to go first and the other one has to go second. We execute a pit stop in the same pit box, so we cannot pit the same lap. So there's some practical kind of rules that you need to have. Don't crash into each other. But apart from that, there's not much more than this. We let them race. We want to see them racing with fairness. We want to see them racing with respect for the brand. McLaren and McLaren Racing and the legacy of McLaren Racing is bigger than Andrea, is bigger than Lando, is bigger than Oscar, is bigger than anybody else. And wherever you are in the execution of your duties, you respect the legacy of McLaren. That's our framework. Within this framework, go and do your best on track.
So, Andrea, what do you say to people who accuse you of over-managing your drivers, over managing the situation, meddling too much?
Ignore them.
Just ignore.
Well, I building on that. Another question was for Andrea. But we get the same question. We are so focused on ourselves and doing the right thing and the commitment we've made to the racing team, our sponsor partners, our shareholders, and our fans. But not everyone can be as informed as we are. I think the reason why you see such a great relationship between Lando and Oscar is they know they have equal opportunity to win the world championship. And we're transparent, we're fair, we communicate, we're not perfect, but we're racers, and they know that. So there's all this noise around, but we don't let that noise come inside the MTC.
We've all been in Formula One a long time, right? I've never seen an F1 team have such a hold over its two drivers as you two do over your sons. How difficult has that been to achieve? To get them to believe in the system so much? I mean, Andrea, you came from Ferrari, and I think there was unhappy Rubens a few times, there was unhappy Felipe Massa a few times. How have you created an environment of such harmony and such a hold over the two guys?
I think I would mention two main elements that played an important role. The first one is we learn from history. You need to know the history of Formula One, okay? We take this history into account. We know what happens when you don't pursue enough the fairness, the equality, the sportsmanship within a Formula One team, within a Formula One team. The second one is what Zak said before. You know, he works so hard to create a foundation where openness, trust, inclusivity, they are the key values. So with Lando and Oscar, we need to talk about the racing framework. How do we go racing together? We talk, the four of us. It's not going to be Zak and Andrea. Oh, this is the framework. Oscar, this is for you. Lando, this is for you. Now you go and execute. We might have started with an idea and we say, Lando, Oscar, what do you think? What's your contribution? The drivers will not adhere to something that they have not been part of in the making of it. They have to be part of it. So that's where we started from. That's what they have kind of, we are in, we agree, and that's how we can manage it. It's always going to be very challenging because it's one of the very few things in which there's not going to be a solution that is happiness for everyone. We do hope, and we are working very hard to make sure that the driver's champion drives a papaya car. And if that's the case, there's only going to be one. But for us, it's important that the other one will think that there's been sportsmanship, there's been fairness, there's been equality. Within this framework, we have the conditions to win even in the future. We are protecting the present, we are protecting the future. And they know that they are going to have these opportunities in the future, because the future doesn't stop at the end of 25. McLaren wants to win in 26, in 27, and in 28. And the conditions to do so, we create them now.
So, if the world champion isn't driving a papaya car, Max Verstappen is looming. You can hear the Jaws music now, can't you? If Max were to take the title this year, given your dominance, will you regret the way you've gone racing?
If Max is the champion at the end of the year, for us the important thing is that we can say we have done our best. And we have done our best according to the way we go racing. And if Max wins this year, we say we're going to win next year. We're going to be there. And we are going to be there united as we are.
I shake his hand and say, job well done. I want to make sure if we don't win, he beats us. We don't beat ourselves. That's important. And we're well aware of 2007, two drivers tie on points, one gets in the front. But we've got two drivers who want to win the world championship. We're playing offense. We're not playing defense. And I'd rather go, we did the best we can and our drivers tied in points and the other guy beat us by one, than the alternative, which is telling one of our drivers right now, when they're 1 point away from each other, I know you have a dream to win the world championship, but we flipped a coin and you don't get to do it this year. Forget it. That's not how we go racing. The best way to win the Constructors is to finish first and second in the championship. And the best way to win the Drivers' Championship is to have two drivers going for the Drivers' Championship. And in the event 2007 happens again, I'd rather have that outcome than all the other outcomes by playing favorites. We won't do it. We're racers. We're going racing.
Very well said. Guys, thank you so much for your time. It's been great to chat. Can I end this, what I call the traditional way on the podcast, which is to ask you both...
Who's going to win the championship?
Well, yeah. Both for your favourite memory in the 75-year history of the Formula One World Championship. Doesn't have to be McLaren related, doesn't have to be Zak or Andrea related, could be anything.
There's many memories, but I think 2024 victory of the Constructor Championship for McLaren in Abu Dhabi, it's such an incredible piece of history, and it's a piece of history of our personal, at least for me, and also an important piece of legacy for one of the most iconic teams, going back to the winning ways. So I'm very proud to having been part of that, and if there was one I needed to pick, I would pick that one.
I'm going to give you two, and I know you only asked for one. I'm going to say Abu Dhabi because the energy in the garage after we won was just electric. I remember it like it was yesterday, but I almost there was nothing rehearsed about it. There was no prepared speech. It just happened. So that's number one. But the one that got me all started in Formula One was when I went to the Long Beach Grand Prix in 1981 as a 10-year-old. Alan Jones won. Funny enough, Monster Roger was sponsoring the Williams cars. And it was at that moment onwards I fell in love with Formula One. So I'm sorry you asked for one, but I had to give you two.
Brilliant. Guys, thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Thank you.